Chair, this is my own personal advice to this committee, that whenever there is conflict between an entity and your own staff as to what the true status is, always believe your staff. Yeah. We have gone through this in other committees as well. In the Committee of Transport, we have had this problem with this same entity, that they claim they have sent documents on time and they have no physical. Because if you came, if you wanted to show this, to demonstrate this, it's very easy, and the county attorney is there. The county attorney knows that if you have a receipt, it is for you to produce a receipt. It can't be for the clerk to look for the receipt. Because the question is being posed to you. But anyway, Chair, I don't know what you want to guide as you wait.
Chair, there is no guiding in this.
No, as we wait for the confirmation, maybe we could process a few other issues that I had requested the committee to allow me to raise as AOB, because it revolves around the same issues of correspondence.
Chair, may you look at the synchrony between the letter that the clerk received, right? Or rather, the alleged letter that the clerk received vis-a-vis the letter that the auditor received. Can we get harmony between those two?
Yes, Governor. The document that I sent with the responses was received by the Senate on the 20th of June, 2025. I have the stamped copy that is being printed. It is stamped received at the Senate.
So you can table it. Chair, I've asked a substantive question.
This is a scan. When we do that, we scan.
Chair, I've asked a substantive question. If the letter to the auditor went on the 17th, how is it possible that the letter to us came on the 16th? Because I'm the one who wrote to the Senate. Was it an anticipation? Yeah, I have the letter.
Chair, the question was whether the letter was owned, or whether it came on time. Your clerk has told you it came on time, yeah, and I have the evidence that it was received by yourselves. I think we are splitting hairs for nothing. Let's go to the substance, Chair, respectfully. Yeah. And I have it here, received by the Senate.
Yeah, let me have a look at that later.
Yeah, I'm getting it printed.
So meanwhile, as we are waiting for the letter from the clerk and this other letter tabled by the governor, Senator Sifuna, what is the issue?
Yeah, Chair, there were a few issues that I had hoped that we would have a conversation with the governor, and it is revolving around water issues in Nairobi. Governor, in all honesty, I also have a problem with the office in terms of how they treat correspondence. Your office never responds to correspondence. And this is not just from me. I have letters here from members of the county assembly addressed to your various departments, and the complaint is the same throughout the leadership of Nairobi, that your office does not respond to correspondence. The first one letter, the Chair, I had a meeting with a section of those leaders that I've spoken about, and I had written to you on the 27th of May, 2025. This letter was received in the office on the 28th of May, 2025. I have a copy here with me, Chair, and it was regarding water connections in Ruai Ward. And there has been no response, Governor. I had occasion to run into Engineer Muguna at the airport a few weeks back, and I asked him the same question, but there has been no response. So it becomes very difficult for us as representatives of the people to give feedback to the people when we can't ourselves be given that information. So perhaps we could start there, Chair. If the governor is in a position to answer this today, because this is the only place we can now have this conversation, it is possible. You can say maybe you will need time to answer, but maybe that's because the water company is there. The residents of Ruai are concerned about delayed household water connections. And the information we got was that the major pipeline project by Athi Water Works and Nairobi Water was largely complete. There are over 22,000 households that have paid 5,000 shillings each for connections, and yet those connections have not been had. Is it possible for us as the people of Nairobi to get a response today on that particular issue? Secondly, Honorable Chair, there's a meeting that I held with residents associations from Roysambu constituency, Specific issues were raised to do with the construction of sewerage system, specifically in Roysambu Ward. And the complaint there, Honorable Governor, was that the residents of Nyati Drive in that particular ward were omitted from the construction of the sewerage that was going on. And perhaps you can also, if it is possible today, Governor, give a response so that the people of Nyati Drive know the current situation. Thirdly, Honorable Chair, there was a request from the Honorable Sospita Mumbi, who's the MCA for Roysambu, for construction of a borehole at GSU Primary School and Secondary School in Roysambu Ward. There's a letter to you, Honorable Governor, to your Chief Officer for Water, and it is received on the 21st of February 2024, which is more than a year ago. There has been no response, Governor, to the Honorable MCA on that particular request, just to say yes or no, so that he doesn't waste time running around offices. And lastly, Honorable Chair, this is a letter from the Marurui Residents Alliance, and they were raising questions of the sewerage coverage within Marurui as well. Honorable Governor, I'm sure you are familiar with this matter, that has left many high-rise buildings unconnected to the main sewerage line. So perhaps, Governor, if you can identify any of those issues that we can get responses today as we wait for the committee to get its act together, then maybe you can indicate. But if you do not have, I would appreciate if there were formal responses coming from your county government whenever leaders raise this question, so that we don't have to waste too much time on it. I thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Senator Sifuna, you know that a matter can be raised under agenda AOB. So on the basis that it's a very important issue and you had asked the committee to bring up that matter, I think we handle it as AOB. So I'll bring the AOB first before we go to agenda number 4. So, Governor, you can respond to your senator on the issues that he has raised.
Chair, the more detailed ones, we can get a response a bit later. But what I know, for instance, in Ruai, parts of Ruai would are now connected. We've had a challenge. That's the biggest ward in this county. It's possibly an 8th, In Kasarani constituency, right now for the water, we have reached Kangundo Road to Ruai Market. And then there's a pipe from Jiru Railway Station that goes towards to cover the Infinity area. That is already ongoing. And there are many others, because that goes hand in hand with the Utawala. Yeah, the Utawala area. It's a similar part. And there are many other laterals that we're doing around that area. So I will ask the MD to maybe just give, not now, but to prepare. Yeah, because Kasarani has 2 sides. There's the Kamuru side, Ruai, Mwiki, and this other side of Santon. Currently for Siwa, at Kasarani Police Station, yeah, we're developing, there's a diversion that is now connecting to the trunk Siwa along Mwiki Kangundo Road. That one is something that is also ongoing. I think it's a great opportunity to give a larger update of all the improvements that have been going on in the last year, and I will be able to share that with you, Senator. Including, I think, what would form part of today's discussion on the, what we call reshrilling, of the piping in the CBD. Because a lot of the reason you have that non-revenue water is because of the old pipes that have leakage and connected to the old fire system in the city. And as soon as that is done, we'll reduce the non-revenue water by 2,000 cubic meters per hour. Yeah, that is what is currently ongoing. So the Santon, there's Clay City, There's Kariobangi North at National Concrete, that is also ongoing. The side of Kawangware 46, all the way coming into Chalby Drive. You also know that we're doing 54 kilometers of trunk sewer, 1.8 by 2.4 meters, that goes hand in hand with the river program. South Sea is a place that has had similar challenges. What we have there is something called condominium sewers. Those condominium sewers are sewers that are not on a wayleaf, that are in people's property, just like Isili, because of the planning. But now we've been able to get a major pipeline from the northern bypass coming into Akiba, connecting to Oleshapara, down until Kongoni Primary School. Then at Kongoni Primary School, where we have the Kenya Power substation, it connects to the larger trunk sewer. And then now we're doing further laterals along the Ngong River line. So, I mean, Chair, I can give a lot of that. As for the MCA who wants a borehole, we do a lot of induction, and we tell them how to get a project. Projects are not received by a letter. They are budgeted for, they are appropriated by the MCAs themselves. In fact, they even indicate that this financial year we're going to do boreholes in this place, or we're going to do a road in this place. And so it's part of that process. I think maybe the issue is him being told or responded to. But that is really the process. You know, we don't give projects based on request by letter, but based on a medium-term framework. As we move forward, for also everyone to know they have a responsibility, you know, to follow those steps.
Because I am also audited, and we go through this every single year. I remember there was a time when the auditor was insisting that we should not disclose in our books how much money we expect from government under the law, because they're saying we are over budgeting and the revenues are not matching the budget. But when you sit with the officers from the Auditor General and you exchange correspondence, you will tell them you object to this being like this or stated like this, and then they will say, no, this is the reason why we're doing. You go through that process with them during the audit process, and you keep record. Because these matters cannot emerge. Of course, they can make mistakes.
That's why
but it is the responsibility of the entity that is being audited. You can demonstrate that you provided documents. You can demonstrate that you disagree with the auditor's view by the correspondence that you exchange during the audit process.
That's why I've shown you the letter we wrote on that issue.
That's what I'm saying. So beyond that, really, I don't know what your expectation would be, Governor.
No, the committee should have a provision, as you give your report, also to sanction the auditor. Yes.
Chair. Honorable Chair.
Yes, I mean, I think we did that. When we did the Public Audit Act, I was in Parliament. And the question that has always been there of who audits the auditor, you know, came up. Of course, the National Assembly gets an entity, because everybody must have a responsibility, you know. These days, you find a sensational headline, either from the Controller of Budget or the Auditor General. Then when you look at the crux of the matter, we're just eroding all public trust in institutions, you know. So I was just saying it as a, by the way, it's not a material thing, but when we've given an answer, in all honesty, you have access to the system, yet you don't do your part, something needs to be done as well, Chair.
Fair enough. So I think the auditors, I give you the 14 days, go and verify the information and come back to us on that query. But I'll give you an opportunity to say something. Auditor.
Thank you, Chair. What I want to mention is that sometimes you can include a report in the management letter and then the client responds without giving any support to that. Now, in the case that we have here, you'll find that the data that we have been provided, we have received some analysis on the same, which has been done from the response in February 2025. So if this analysis had actually been done then it would have been provided then, and the auditor would have reconfirmed. So I doubt that this information was provided then. The figures would have been provided, yes, but the data to support those figures may not have been provided.
I've directed that you go and reconfirm and come back to us in 14 days. Yeah. So let's proceed to query on long outstanding trade and other payable. This is almost similar to that, to what we have covered, but it is about people who have not paid, 4.1 billion. Auditor?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Long outstanding trade and other payables. The statement of financial position and as disclosed in note 29 to the financial statements reflects trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 5 billion 344 million 30,050. However, included in the balance are trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 4 billion 144 million 716,223, which had been outstanding for more than 180 days. In the circumstances, the accuracy, validity, completeness of trade and other payables balance of Kenya shillings 4 billion 144 million 716,223 could not be confirmed. Thank you.
Sorry, these are payables. These are people who are owed. So, Governor, you can respond.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, again, the number looks big. Let me answer what I wrote first, then I can give context. As observed, the company's payables stood at 5.3 billion, which includes 2.2 billion owed to LAP Trust. That accumulated from the actuarial deficit and interest, and the company was at that time pursuing a loan to settle that amount. 1.7 billion was release fees, and 490 million were abstraction fees. While the difference of 900 million is what now relates to people who have been paid, relates to trade payables, which is approximately within the credit period. The current tariff is not responsive to inflation and cost recovery. However, we engage in WASREP for approval of a new tariff that is cost recovery and responsive to inflation. We're also putting mechanisms, just to keep improving revenue. So, Chair, just two parts to that. One, the 2.2 billion is an old debt about the LAP Trust. And that was a LAP Trust DB fund, which is closed, defined benefit fund. At that point, the company was pursuing a facility, and we had given authority, but I withdrew that authority because the circumstances around that interest, was not prudent. I also withdrew because at that point I'm aware, and we're still ongoing, over debt swap that we are pursuing with the national government. That debt swap, as of the last meeting we had, there was an issue of valuation. This relates to our land that the Supreme Court said belongs to us. So we expect 75 billion shillings that we can have in different tranches, that for one debt they will do a swap, for another debt they will pay us over time, for another one is what we owe the national government. So that process is ongoing, and we should have a meeting actually this week to conclude. And so that is why I made the decision that it's good to save the county getting into debt, taking a loan, yet there is an impending process that can provide for you those resources. This 1.7 billion WASREP lease fees is part of what I'm saying is completely unconscionable. Like it is, I don't know how WASREP expects water service providers to operate when they ask for 4%. 4% of your revenue. They're asking for 4% of your revenue. They have sat themselves, they have decided this is what they'll charge, and for doing nothing, Regulation or providing regulatory, whatever function they do, has no correlation with the revenue, because they look at governance, they look at processes, they look at whether you're following the law. So that is something that we dispute. And I don't think the people of Nairobi would want us to pay 1.7 billion to a regulatory body. Yet 1.7 billion can be used to take water to Nyati Court and all these places that are underserved. So this is something we completely feel should not be what counties are charged. They can have a management fee that WSPs pay, a specific fee just for the administration, because WASREP doesn't build dams, they don't do anything, I mean, beyond what their mandate is. Of course, I acknowledge the good work they do within their mandate. In fact, now we're negotiating with them a new tariff discussion, we're still in that process. for a new water tariff. So the actual amount, Chair, this Warma obstruction fees, I'll let the MD talk about, I'm not clear on the 490 million. The 900 million is what was payables, but we felt they're within the credit period, Chair. So it is not 5.4 billion owed to business people and hustlers. It is, as I've broken it down. The 1.7, I hope you can assist us, another WSPs, 4% of revenue from an entity providing service. You know, we're not a profit-making entity. To people, whether it is Nairobi, Water, Kiambu, Muranga, etc., I think is completely off and should not be allowed by this House. Thank you, Chair. Maybe MD can expound kindly.
Let the MD expound, and then the auditor will comment, then members will come in.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. When we actually abstract low water from the rivers, we also buy that water from Water Resources Authority. That's the money which which has accrued without us paying the full amount. But every month, again, we give Water Resources Authority 10 million shillings every month. From the revenue we collect, we give them 10 million shillings to pay for the water which we abstract from the rivers. So again, just like the governor is saying, I do not understand why we pay with that kind of money instead of extending services actually to the people of Nairobi, or not only Nairobi, any other county. So some of these fees should be actually scrapped by the Senate or Parliament so that we can provide services. This is money we collect from the citizens direct. We should plow back that money to the citizens through service provision. Or rather, what is happening is we are giving the national government money, then we again come here to cry that we are unable to provide the service. We need subsidies from the national government. Again, this money you can see here, the 900 million, is the kind of the institutions, national government institutions, water service providers, who we give water, they don't pay. This is the money which is pending as unpaid. When you look at the normal domestic customers, the amount pending is very low from them. Thank you so much.
Chair, let me give to the auditors first. Auditor, your comments on the response.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. This was the position as at that June 2024. What we have not received is a document to show how much of this has been recovered, including the 900 million being mentioned there. So we don't know whether it was current because we have not seen how much has been paid as of now. Thank you.
Okay, Governor, I want to agree with you on the issue of Wasirem. This committee we are actually finalizing a report on the issue of the water sector. And one of the things we are questioning is Wasirem fees. Because Wasirem is a national government entity. Why would the county governments be the ones to finance Wasirem? Yet is a national government entity. So we have issues there, which this Senate through this committee is trying to address on that. So maybe you can, as one way of helping you can do a formal correspondence to this committee on that matter so that we can pick it up. Let me start he was first to request.
So, first, Governor, we want to assure you that on that particular issue, we are with the governors on this one. Those of us who believe in devolution proper, first of all, do not believe that these institutions should even exist. Because if water is a devolved function, I don't even know what you are doing negotiating with them. You as a county entity or county government should be the one to set the rates for the products. There was an even greater a conversation in the Senate one time that we get a lot of our water from, say, Muranga. We should be paying Muranga that money for that abstraction and not this national government, if indeed Muranga can claim that the water belongs to them. But we know that the water does not belong to them. It just happens to be there. But my... Yes. I'm being told it came from Nyandarua. It was just passing through Muranga. I don't know how true that is. But my issue is sometimes, Governor, you use language that is very deceptive here. When you say that the current tariff is not responsive to inflation and cost recovery, what are you saying? And when you say you want review of tariffs in Nairobi, can you say with a straight face that you want Nairobians to pay more for the water? Engineer Muguna is saying that we, the domestic users, are actually the best in terms of payments. So why do you want to punish us by reviewing the tariff upwards?
Review, no one has said upwards, Senator.
Are you saying
First
downwards?
First of all, no one has said upwards.
So are you saying downwards?
It doesn't have to be up or down.
Sure.
It is how a tariff has components.
Yes.
Yeah? There are different... you remember we have had the discussion on Green Nairobi company that is supposed to get a percentage from the water tariff without necessarily making it more or higher. That's the discussion we're in. Nairobians pay for their water very well. And even several breweries. And the South Africa breweries are taking, is it a sixth of our water? 100 million liters per day, yet we have 600. So sometimes, I was wondering why are we giving breweries so much water, but still, it's our citizens still who drink the product from there. Nairobi Bottlers is number 2, Kenyatta University number 3. They're paying, so that's not the issue. But the issue was this issue of now WASREP wanting us to pay them 4% of our revenue. I think that should be, and I will write, Chair.
That one we are on agreement, so can you just state for the record, the people of Nairobi should not expect higher water tariffs?
No, you can't box me to say that, to make an announcement.
That's what you have said.
No, I've said what I've said. I've said what I've said, Senator. Don't get an announcement. But when we want to announce the tariff, it will be announced.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
My concern was, we, the users of the water,
Yeah.
confirm yourself. We just want you to insulate us from higher tariffs when you are doing this negotiation. As we fight for you, you leave WASREP to us, but you make an assurance to...
Senator, I'm also a good politician. I have said what I've said.
And we have also noted what you have reviewed.
Exactly, yes. That's good.
Resolution of the Senate on payment of monies that were pending to LAP Trust and LAP Fund. Wasn't there a resolution of the Senate to give timelines for the payment of that?
Yes, in fact, that's what I wanted to raise with the governor. We had an inquiry, a full inquiry done by this committee on the issue of outstanding pension, where counties owe pensioners close to 80 billion shillings. So this matter was serious. We did a resolution of the House. We recommended the creation of a task force by by Treasury. Treasury has created the task force. The task force has collected views from all the counties, but they have not submitted the report to us yet because they said they have not met Nairobi County.
That is not true. I've met them.
And your bill
I have met them, Chair.
Your bill is 8.7
and in
billion.
fact, Chair, I have guided them on how to rehabilitate something called actual deficit.
Yeah.
The math that they were using is completely wrong from professional point of view. Actual deficit cannot be charged at the same time as the interest, especially when an entity is engaging. And just that alone, my intervention at the 14th floor of Treasury has almost halved what these companies are asking counties. Chair, I remember I was the chairman of Labour in this house.
Yeah.
And that discussion started then. In fact, at some point, we proposed a conditional grant to counties to be able to address the issue of the verified outstanding amounts in pensions. As we speak, I'm also the chair of human resource at the COG. So it's something I'm very well seized of. And Nairobi's position is that we want to offset it in a way that is not going to create more debt to the city, which had been the norm. So the task force should not use that as an excuse. I've sat with them. In fact, after the meeting, they asked me to do for them a paper, because I think we educated them a bit. The problem was that what was being proposed by the actuaries of the companies, or rather of the institutions that are owed. So you see, it was skewed towards them. And I'll give you an example. In Nairobi, we cleared, for instance, I've cleared my entire lab fund debt, which is a milestone. I've cleared the principal, but the interest is still there. So now I'm only paying interest, yet somebody is going to come and claim actuarial deficit. There, professionally, that's not how it's supposed to be done. And so we're engaging with them. But the point is that we wanted ours cleared by way of that swap. And number two, I have attended that task force and we've engaged very positively. That time it was chaired by Albert Mwenda.
So Governor, we have seen your colleagues do agreements with these institutions. Makueni is the most recent example that I can remember. Do you have agreements with these institutions on how we are going to clear these debts?
No.
Because if it's just statements of intent, then they are not helpful to us.
So the outcome of that process is to now present the new bill, what amount it is. As I told you, we've almost halved based on that reclassification that we've done within the task force. When I went to, I think, who did I go with? South Kerich, yeah, and some members of my team. So you do an agreement based on now what they're saying, okay, based on this is what we owe you, or rather you owe us.
So what stage is that process?
There's a task force, I don't know, it's under pressure. Once they conclude, then they will have now a figure that they are claiming from us.